What is going on? My name is Mario, and it's been about a week to 2 weeks or maybe even longer since the Modern Warfare 2 beta, and the internet has been on fire in every possible way ever since. A lot of strong opinions clashing, people loving it, people hating it.
Yes, sir!
So I want to add my own 2 cents as well, not that I'm expecting anyone to listen to me, because it seems like Infinity Ward isn't gonna listen to anybody anyway, so here we go. As always, timestamps are in the description below. I want to talk about a few things first, but if you're only interested in the feedback points themselves, you can just skip ahead. Just a quick heads up, I'm going to talk about all the things that I would like to see changed, so due to the nature of a video like this, it might sound really negative. It might sound like I hated everything about the game, but that's just not true. I'm not shitting on the devs or anything like that. I simply think the beta is there to point out topics of discussion, so respectfully, that's what I'm gonna do, and because of what I'm like as a person, I'll do so directly without sugarcoating things. If you remember at the COD Next event, they were claiming how they've built this game with 3 main player types in mind, that being rushers, sentinels/campers, and stalkers, which is all fine and good in theory, but if you've played even just a little bit of the beta, you'll know that in reality it's just that. It's a theory that does not translate at all into practice. No, in practice, they are doing everything in their power to put rushers at a disadvantage all the time. They're doing everything they can to make things as difficult as possible for rushers, while making things as easy as possible for sentinels, campers, or whatever you want to call them, or weaker players in general.
What?
That is generally my main criticism of this game or of this beta, and pretty much every single point that I'll mention coming up perfectly ties into the things I've just said. It simply creates this giant, crappy ball of things just complementing each other in the worst ways, creating an experience that's just not fun at all, even though it easily could be, and it's unbelievable to me how, as a developer, you can just kind of turn a blind eye to all that and to not try and improve things for everybody, remember? First things first, the TTK. I'm sure this one's down to personal preference, but personally, I'd like to see a bit of a slower time to kill. Currently, to me, it just seems too fast. It's not like I want to have a 5-minute long gunfight every single time. I'd simply prefer being able to react and fight back or shoot back and having the chance to actually outplay the enemy instead of being almost instantly dropped. Now, while I would like to see that, I honestly don't really see them changing that. With the weapon balancing and everything being tuned to exactly what we have right now, changing a drastic factor like that across the board, this close to launch, doesn't seem like a very practical thing to do. If anything, maybe toning down the headshot multipliers would be an option, but then again, out of everything I'll talk about in this video, this is probably the one that I can adjust to or at least live with the most. It's nothing game-breaking in my eyes, but I can't say that about what's coming up. Up next, surprise surprise, the minimap. Or to be precise, the lack of minimap functionality. If somehow, some way you're not aware of what I mean, I'm talking about the fact that once again, red dots do not show up when people fire an unsilenced gun. And I, for the life of me, will never understand this decision, nor the reasoning behind it, because they did at least try to explain why in a blog post after the beta that really pissed me off, by the way, but still it doesn't make sense, like, at all. Because they're trying to tell us the reason behind no red dots is that they don't want people just running after red dots on the map. No, they want players to go out and find out where the gunfire comes from. Once again, in theory, cool, but we've played the game now, and it doesn't work. Actually, it results in the exact opposite, and that is, nobody moves. You really think players are gonna run around looking for whoever just shot at them and knowing exactly that they're gonna get dropped instantly because of how fast the TTK is? No! And as I've said before, these things just tie into each other, and you'll see a pattern here really soon. People not moving is one thing, but there's also no flow to maps anymore. That's always been a very important thing to the feel of COD, but now whenever people do move, they don't know where to go, and that takes away quite a bit of the enjoyment. Do I see that changing? Quite frankly, no. Since the beta, essentially all they've done is double down on that decision. They could have tried to at least kind of meet us halfway, by for example adding a perk that gives us the OG minimap back like they did in Vanguard. But it seems like they're not even willing to do that, unfortunately. So that's another thing we're just kind of stuck with. With that said, next up, dead silence not being a perk / footstep audio in general. With this, my and the community's complaints are pretty straightforward. Footsteps in this game are way too loud. Now, why are loud footsteps as bad as I make them out to be? Well, again, I'm glad to be repeating myself. It's the combination with everything else we're complaining about. When you can precisely hear enemy players coming from a mile away, you might as well just sit in a corner and wait for people to come by so you can take them out safely. With how fast you die, why take the risk and challenge other players you can hear coming your way when you can just wait for them where you 100% have the upper hand? Plus, when you move towards them, they can hear you too, and you'll just throw away any advantage that you could have easily had. So what happens is the exact same thing that's already happening because of the fast TTK and what they did with the minimap. Nobody wants to move around because you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage whenever you do. And I have to say, being punished for moving around in a Call of Duty game, I'm sorry, it's just stupid. In fact, they even said on their blog post that they don't want players to be able to move around quickly without consequences. Yeah, a COD game for every playstyle, right? Then where the are the consequences for your sentinels, campers, whatever you want to call them? Because with every single design decisions, things are getting easier and easier for players who don't move around, and that's the playstyle you're almost forced into. Of course, there's that silence as a feel upgrade, and yes, that helps for sure, but you don't have that all the time. It's just short periods, and that's simply not enough. Plus, quote-unquote dead silence makes a stupid sound when activating it. Like, that's just dumb and nerfing people who want to move around. To me, the solution is very, very simple. There's no way around it, almost no way. Dead silence needs to be a perk that makes you permanently silent. The only alternative we have is reducing the footstep audio drastically, so much that you don't really need dead silence. This might just be the one thing that holds this game back the most. You're loud all the time when moving. It's like whenever you run around, there's this subconscious feeling, or maybe it's not even subconscious, you just know, well, somebody's gonna hear me, can't wait to get shot. What the To make things worse, and I'd love to be wrong, I don't think they'll change all that much. Post-beta, they did mention that yes, changes will be coming to the footstep audio, but they just worded it so carefully that I don't think it's gonna make all that much of a difference. Of course, as I said, I'd love to be wrong. And the worst part that pisses me off more than anything is being told through COD Next, watching that live stream, that they've been listening to the community and how they have essentially built on the foundation that was MW 2019 and improved that and blah blah blah. And here we are with our 4 or 5 biggest complaints being the exact same we've had in 2019. We were talking about the whole minimap, footstep, nobody moving situation 3 years ago and nothing has changed. Now I want to go through these next ones a little bit more rapid fire. I can feel myself getting less and less constructive with my criticism, and I don't want to get too carried away, even though it would probably be some pretty quality entertainment seeing me lose my over a game that's not even out yet. Sprint to fire times, how about that? Back to same old, they need to be faster across the board. All weapon classes, we're looking at situations where you can die faster than you can actually get your gun up. I don't know if that's factually correct, but I'm gonna say it anyway. And it can also make the game quite a bit more clunky feeling when, if anything, there's already enough nerfing players who are moving around, so help us out here, let's make things a bit faster and a bit more fun. Thank you. How do you guys feel about this new perk system though? Because I really don't know. It's like I can't put my finger on one thing saying, yeah, this is awful, hands down. No, not really. It's hard to describe. The system's weird and it seems simply unnecessary. It's like one of those things they wanted to change or fix, even though it wasn't broken. And I'm not sure what I would do with it. I mean, during the beta itself, they turned down this timer further and further, where eventually you could argue, like, why not give everybody all the perks from the start? Or maybe start with 3 and only have 1 that you can earn a few minutes into the game. I don't know, when it comes to class systems in general, I always wonder why we ever moved away from pick 10. That, to this day, just seems perfect. But of course, that's just me. Quick side note, speaking of perks, why the f would you bring back Last Stand? Tell him, Robert.
Fuck you, Last Stand!
I'm not too sure about the perks, but what I am sure about is that this new menu UI kinda sucks. It's most likely here to stay, so there's no point in complaining about it too much. They did say that they would improve it in some way, shape, or form, but I just couldn't find shit. It's just not intuitive, I don't know. When it comes to orientation, finding stuff without navigation, I would fucking get lost everywhere IRL, so me saying that probably doesn't mean much, but this UI was confusing AF. Just a few smaller things to finish things off. Why did they remove enemy name tags? I just don't understand all those changes just for the sake of, well, changes. They mentioned that they had some ideas for enemy visibility and stuff, which is cool, but what's so bad about nameplates that they have to find creative ideas? Just put the text back in, Jesus. Oh, and finally, just a little positive note, not sure if you guys have tried it, but Ground War was pretty fun. I may have had more fun there than in 6v6, maybe because of the player numbers. The matchmaking could be a little more relaxed, not sure, but I had a good time. Now, how in the world am I supposed to find some closing words after all that? I have, as you could probably tell, a lot of frustrations with straight up design decisions they make. Maybe or probably because they think that's what's necessary to protect the casual players and in turn make the most amount of money. Now, MW 2019 was a massive success. It would have been based on the name alone, and I think the same goes for MW2 now, but I guess they want to stay true to the philosophies they've had ever since. Just about everything I have a problem with is just one more thing messing with everyone who wants to run around and have fun in Call of Duty. And guess what? They asked for feedback, they've heard the feedback so far, they've listened to the feedback, and they've just doubled down on all the things we, the community, voiced our opinion about, and they essentially said, yeah, we hear you, but we'll just do things our way, so f*** you. I'm just not a big fan of this whole grandiose speech telling us about listening to the community and the game being for all player types, when in reality the most important feedback was just not taken into consideration, or at least it didn't make it into the game. And when it comes to the 3 player types, there's really only one that is being catered to, and we all know which one. With that said, this has been a pretty long one. Of course, I'm still excited about MW2 coming out, just like every year when a new COD comes out. Thank you guys very much for watching. You can follow me on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram at LevelUpMario. Links are in the description down below. And as always, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you soon.